Tell me your lunatic conspiracy theory about how odd
I don't have any. I don't have any conspiracy theories. Do you not think it's odd, Cenk Uygur, that this kid could
crazy
stroll across a roof unmanned and just fire off 8 bullets at President Trump from 150 meters? Do you not find that odd?
When you saw the events unfold on Saturday?
Shock, and then concern. This is an event that should have never happened.
Who is most responsible for this happening?
What I would say is that the Secret Service is responsible for the protection of the former president.
So the buck stops with you?
The buck stops with me.
The President and Homeland Security Secretary said today they had 100% confidence in you, but there are some members of Congress calling on you to resign. Do you plan to stay on? Absolutely.
I do plan to stay on.
Are you surprised she still got the job?
You know, I'll be honest with you, the idea of saying mea culpa or that responsibility is the same as accountability has been a problem within all elected positions and appointments positions. I think that she should resign. I think that she should accept her failures. Leaders lead, and when they fail, they accept that failure and they understand that it's time to step aside. But at minimum, if she refuses to step aside, when we do our actual investigations, and I hope we get a J13 style commission, I just text Speaker Johnson just now and feel that my background and kind of unique experience would be great to head this up. But I'm going to look at minimum, the Homan rule, which will take her salary down to $1, and hopefully that will encourage her to leave, because we need true leadership, Piers, and we need to make sure that our president, President Biden, our Vice President Kamala Harris, our former president, who's now our nominee, President Trump, and Vice President Vance, will ensure that they're safe. This is not a political thing. This is about Americans being safe to be able to go ahead and serve our nation without fear, resources to keep this man safe.
Congressman Corey Mills, thank you very much indeed for joining me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Piers. Honored.
So in this video, Cenk Uygur makes a complete fool out of himself. Just before this debate between Piers and Cenk, Piers was actually talking to Florida Republican Congressman Corey Mills, who is a former counter sniper. Okay, so he knows a thing or two about procedures and how things that went down on Saturday kind of go, right? And Cenk completely disregards everything that he said because, of course, he's a Republican, right? And Cenk is smarter than every Republican out there, so of course, he's not going to listen to a dang thing that that man has to say. Anything that he believes is only going to come from the left. You can see the complete meltdown that goes in his head, where he then does what he always does and resorts to yelling and screaming and kicking and crying, which is becoming commonplace among the ranks of the Democrat talking heads. And the crazy part about it is, to me, I don't understand why he's arguing against it. I don't get his motivation. He's not even protecting anybody in his argument. He's just arguing for argument's sake, because that's what Democrats have to do nowadays, is argue against a Republican. It doesn't make any sense to me why he's so passionate about the things that he's about to say. So let's have a look at this debate, and you let me know what you think, why he's so passionate to just fight Piers and to fight against what Corey Mills had to say.
Cenk Uygur, we've spoken a lot about this presidential race over the last year. Where are we now with this? Is it right to assume that two things have happened as a result of this attempted assassination? One is that Donald Trump has got exponentially more popular because people feel a real empathy with him for what happened. And secondly, that Joe Biden is more likely than not now to remain the Democrat nominee.
Yeah. So there's no reason to unilaterally surrender to Donald Trump now, but that's what it looks like the Democrats are doing. So I hope that they pick up the campaign to oust Biden again, because he's clearly not going to win. All the interviews are disasters. I don't want to surrender to Trump, but apparently Democratic officials are considering it, which would be just keeping Biden in the race. That is a form of surrender, because they don't want to waste any of their so-called talent because they're so despondent about the race. I think that's pathetic. They should fight. And if they have a new ticket, they still have a perfectly good chance of beating Donald Trump. Now, I do want to say, though, there's a second topic here. Your interview with Corey Mills, Representative Mills there, I think it was dangerous and wrong. So you guys said, oh, well, you know, this shouldn't be a partisan thing and we should turn down the rhetoric. And then you implied that maybe the Secret Service or the Biden administration allowed the shooting to happen.
Well, no,
that's
nobody.
nuts.
No,
that's not
hang on.
turning.
Nobody.
No,
nobody
you
implied
definitely
that.
did.
No,
You
nobody
definitely did, Piers.
Well, I certainly did.
You kept talking about, well, look, I'm not saying conspiracy theory, but hey, it's so easy to find.
just
and why
to
didn't
correct
they
you,
find
Cenk,
it?
just to
You
correct-
didn't, and you didn't
Hang
just
on.
say negligence.
Hang on, I didn't.
And forget about you, Corey Mills.
Right, okay.
He didn't say,
Just to be
hey,
clear,
look, hey,
okay.
He said maybe it's
Let
not
me
just
respond.
malpractice. Maybe it's not just negligence.
I didn't.
What does
I
that
didn't
mean?
say that.
Is
I
a
didn't-
lunatic suggesting?
Am I allowed
that,
to respond?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. First of all, I didn't say anything that you've just said. Secondly, he did raise the spectre that there's something very odd about all this. And by the way, there is. I'm not a conspiracy theorist either. But the idea that the President Trump, who was recently the President of the United States and is very likely to be again, was shot from 150 meters by a kid with an AR-15 who was seen by spectators nearly a minute before he unloaded 8 bullets in the direction of Donald Trump is very, very strange. And if you don't think it is, then I think you're being a little bit disingenuous. Now, what is the nature?
So you are
What is the
conspiracy
nature of that strangeness?
You are conspiracy
we don't
theorist.
know what's happened here, right? But no
So
one
look,
can yet
if you
no
say
one
it's
can yet give a legitimate explanation as to why this could
Piers,
possibly have happened.
Piers, if you say it's negligence, I'm with you. If you say it's malpractice, okay, I get it. 160 feet, why is he on the roof, etc. But you're clearly implying that it is odd, as in not negligence, but something that was
No, I
planned
don't know.
by
I'm
the
not.
government.
No, I'm not. I don't know.
Hey, get out of here, man. What the hell? Jesus Christ with these lunatic Republicans. Total lunatic Republicans. Yeah, go ahead. Tell me your lunatic conspiracy theory about how odd
I don't
it
have
was.
any. I don't have any conspiracy theories. Do you not think it's odd, Cenk Uygur, that this
think
kid
it's-
could
I think I think it's crazy
stroll
that they-
across a roof unmanned and just fire off 8 bullets at President Trump from 150 meters? Do you not find that odd?
So I find it deeply troubling. I think that there should be an investigation to see how they screwed this up. I think the fact that they didn't get there on the roof quicker it speaks poorly of them. On the other hand, can we acknowledge that the Secret Service surrounded the president and would have taken a bullet for him and would have died for him? But all they're getting now is odd conspiracy theories about how maybe.
Actually, it's
I mean,
not-
aren't you implying? Hold on, Piers, you tell me. Aren't you implying that they let it happen?
No.
Aren't you implying that?
No.
Obviously, what does odd
No.
mean? What does odd mean?
No,
Go
I'll
ahead,
tell you
me
what
odd means.
I'll tell you what odd means. Odd means that the Secret Service's primary function is to preserve the life of whoever is president of the United States, right? And they allowed this roof to be unmanned.
Allow.
Well,
You use the word allow.
Okay, somebody made a decision not to have that roof patrolled, even though, as
You
we've
don't
heard-
even know that.
Hang on. Well, somebody did because it wasn't patrolled.
No, that's also not true.
Well, it is.
So look,
it is true.
Piers, we don't know the last time they looked at that roof. We don't know if they looked at it and then the guy crawled on
Here's what we
afterwards.
do
Now
know.
you mentioned,
Here's
hold
what
on,
we do
hold
know.
on.
There was nobody on the
you
roof
mentioned-
from the Secret Service. Why?
So you're telling me that you know that under Biden, Trump, and all the other presidents, that every roof had a Secret Service person on it
Can
in
you
every
ever
rally.
remember?
You don't know
can
that.
you ever?
You don't know that.
Can you ever remember a president or presidential candidate who was a president giving a speech at a public rally where a roof 150 meters from his head is unprotected by Secret Service? Can you name once
How the
ever
hell would I know
that's
that?
happened?
How the hell would you, Piers? How the hell would you know that? You don't know anything.
I am told
So
by-
if you say to me,
I have been
hold
told-
on. If you say to me,
I've been
you know,
told
let me
by
answer.
listen. I've been told by many experts in the last 36 hours.
Experts, like that lunatic Republican you just had on, who's an expert.
Actually, no.
Talking about, oh my God, oh yeah, I'm not
Well, he-
so.
well, he was
I don't
also-
think it's just
okay.
negligence.
You-
Then what does that mean?
Okay.
Then you think it was allowed.
Actually,
you
the
think it was
congressman.
planned.
Actually,
who planned it? Who planned it?
Actually, the congressman that I spoke to was on the sniper protection detail for Joe Biden when he was vice president. He probably knows more about it than you do, with great respect. Unless
Okay.
you're about to tell me you are a covert sniper protector, are you?
No, I'm telling you that we don't know anything about when they checked the building. We do know that there was the red-haired guy who talked to the BBC. He told the cops, then the cops showed up. It's not like they didn't show up. And so if you say, hey, we should investigate and find out when was the last time they did the perimeter
That's the
check.
thing. We know now that there wasn't a perimeter check. That whole building should have been surrounded by Secret Service or the Sheriff's Department or whoever's responsibility it was, which I think it's Secret Service's responsibility, and they dropped the ball, which makes it odd. That whole building that had access to the parking lot right next to it should have not only had snipers on top of the roof, I don't care about the angle or any of that stuff because there were snipers on other roofs that were at an angle. It should have been surrounded by the sheriff's department, and it should have had a Secret Service sniper on the roof. It had neither, and it led to allowing a 20-year-old kid to crawl up on there with a 5-foot ladder, apparently, that he had just bought, and take a shot at President Trump. Why is Cenk fighting this? This guy is red-faced mad right now, and it makes no sense to me at all. He just wants to do what a Democrat typically does and say, I don't like what you're saying, I disagree with it, so you're a conspiracy theorist.
When did they get on that roof? I totally agree. If you say negligence, I totally agree. If you say Trump was brave in that moment, I totally agree. But if you start implying, which you definitely are, and Corey Mills definitely is, that it was planned, or that it was so odd that it happened. You're saying it like the Epstein thing was odd. The Epstein thing was actually odd. So the video camera's out. That makes me think, yes, there was something planned. I'm brave enough to say that. Instead, you're implying it, Corey Mills is implying it, so just say it then.
No.
Don't tell, what does odd mean?
Okay, again, I will say to you, I am not saying anything was planned. I'm not saying there was any inside job at the Secret Service to allow this to happen. I am simply saying...
You're implying that. You get that, right?
Here's what I'm implying.
You're implying that?
Look at Dave Rubin. He is so over this conversation.
Here's what I'm implying.
That's what the viewer's going to think.
Here's what I'm implying. There was such a catastrophically negligent failure here by the Secret Service. I completely understand why so many people are utterly bemused that this could ever have been allowed to happen. The idea you have a perfect vantage point over Donald Trump from 150 meters at a public rally, given how divisive and polarizing he is, given how vehemently some people hate him, and given the threats of violence he's had on many, many occasions, the idea that that roof remained unmanned by Secret Service is to me very bloody odd, Cenk. Yes.
And I have to interject a little bit here with this article from the Gateway Pundit. Just give me a second. The Gateway Pundit previously reported that Crooks was spotted on a rooftop approximately 30 minutes before he opened fire at Trump. The incident has raised serious questions about law enforcement's response to potential threats. Even though Crooks was identified as suspicious, no immediate action was taken to neutralize him as a potential threat. It's also been reported since then that he was actually seen using a rangefinder to figure out exactly how far he was away from President Trump.
So you're implying that there is a chance that it was planned?
No, I'm not. I'm implying
that's literally what you just said.
Literally what I'm doing is implying that there's something we don't know about what's happened here, and we need some answers.
Then what would it be?
We need some answers I have no idea. I don't know. Now let me go to some of the other panelists, because we've expended a lot of energy on this. I think, Cenk, you have to go, so I appreciate you. I appreciate you calling me a conspiracy theorist. Thank you for joining me. Let me go to Dave Rubin.
Anytime.
All right, thank you. Let me go to Dave Rubin. Dave Rubin, this is the problem. If you can't raise questions, serious questions about what's happened here, or suggest that it's odd, without being branded a conspiracy theorist by people like Cenk Uygur, there's a bit of a problem, isn't there? I mean, it seemed to me, not just negligence. There's something very strange about this whole incident and how it unfurled. I have never seen members of the public, nearly a minute before a shooting at a president, raising the alarm and telling people the guy's on the roof. Have you?
Yeah, well, Piers, I haven't been on camera with that guy in about 8 years, but I'm just reminded of the brain-piercing, serious headache you get listening to him. You just laid out very calm and cogent questions as to what happened to the man who is the ex-president and could be future president of the United States. There was either a catastrophic failure, which we're all acknowledging, or something more nefarious. All we can do is ask questions. The red-headed guy with the visor who was interviewed on the BBC saying that it was probably about 2 minutes, and we'll find out the exact details on that, about 2 minutes before, where he was warning law enforcement that there was someone on the roof. Well, in 2 minutes, Piers, right now, I have an IFB in my ear. I have a microphone right here. That's what all of the agents around there have. And they're all connected to a network of people who are telling them where to look and what to do. I'm not an of Of course, and I'm not an expert in this, but we all know this. Corey Mills happens to be an expert, and your interview was quite good with him. So the idea that 2 minutes went by and nobody looked at the roof, and by the way, the Secret Service director is now saying the reason they didn't have anyone staged on that roof was because there was a slope on the roof.
It's nonsense.
And they didn't want one of their agents to get hurt. I mean, I've got roofers out on my roof right now. There's a little bit of a slope. They have special shoes. They make it work. The whole thing is insane. But I would say at the political level, this has re-energized not just the Trump base, which was energized, but this new wide swath of disaffected liberals and UFC fighters and NFL players and just good, decent Americans to realize that Donald Trump is not the enemy right now. And this fake call for unity. Yes, I would like unity in a land of unicorns and everything else, but you can't on one day spend 4 years basically calling the guy Hitler and his supporters Nazi. Then he gets shots, and now we should have unity is just nonsense. I'm sorry.
And also for the current president of the United States to be asked, do you have any soul searching about the language you've used, given that days before this shooting, he told donors that it was time to put Trump in the bullseye, and then he tries to dance his way out of this by claiming, I didn't say crosshairs, as if somehow when you talk about human beings, bullseye or crosshairs mean any difference. Obviously, he didn't mean, I think Donald Trump should be shot. But obviously, if you're a deranged young lunatic with an impressionable mind, who the hell knows what that kind of language? We don't know yet, right, about any of the motivation. Apparently, there's a kind of very, very strange, again, a very strange lack of information that they've been able to find out about this young shooter.
Piers, of course, but you also have to understand that there has been an entire media machine, mainstream media machine, and Democrat elite that for years, since before Donald Trump was president, have been calling him Hitler and his supporters Nazis. What would someone do if they truly believe that? I'm not directly linking this to Biden's bullseye comment, as irresponsible as it may be, or anyone else's specific comment. But over time in culture, if things get normalized, and yes, this man is going to put us in camps, and you can turn on MSNBC on any given day, and they're talking about how they're all going to be arrested and taken off the air, and what he's going to do to minorities and gays and everything else, all utter, complete nonsense. At some point, people might get a subtle message and then do something crazy. Again, we don't know if that was what happened right now, but we certainly can ask about it.
And I think to be completely fair, I believe Donald Trump has spouted a lot of very ill-advised and occasionally very dangerous rhetoric.
I'd really like to see Piers provide some video proof and evidence of what it is that Trump has said that he's claiming here. Because everything that I've seen, it's the left that says punch a Nazi. It's the left that labels MAGA Nazis or calls them maggots or says that Trump is Hitler. I'm just not believing what Piers is saying. I think he's just repeating some left-wing rhetoric. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and end this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you do hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you guys in the next one.